It's been a while since we've had a movie with so much discourse surrounding it, but James Gunn's Superman continues to make headlines even as it becomes clear to everybody that it is in fact a box office flop, just as I've been reporting on this channel for over a month. But putting all of that aside, now there's a whole new claim that people are spreading about this movie that seems to be catching fire, and since I know for a fact that this claim is incorrect and there's clearly some confusion about it, I'm going to set the record straight here, and in case you don't know what I'm talking about, there are people that seem to believe that James Gunn, after seeing the fan backlash to how he treated the Jor-El character in his Superman movie, has done a retcon to fix this exact problem in the digital release and VOD versions of Superman, which you can now see at home. Now, for those of you that don't fully understand the context here, in Gunn's Superman movie there's a recorded message of Jor-El, Superman's biological father from Krypton, that is discovered where he tells Superman that he needs to rule over Earth and use a bunch of lady friends to breed a new Kryptonian race rather than guide humanity to greatness, painting Jor-El out to be kind of a jerk. But this whole story about James Gunn looking to do right by fans with a retcon Jor-El is absolutely false, and in this video, I'm going to debunk all of this. But before we begin, if you haven't yet liked and subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, as it would really help me out.
Do it.
So basically, all of this started a few days ago when DC Film News, an X account with 137,000 followers, shared a still image from the VOD version of Superman where a reporter interviews Maxwell Lord and he's speaking negatively about Lex Luthor, while at the same time there's a title at the bottom of the screen that says, Daily Planet shows Luthor was behind the false images of Superman's parents' message claiming that. Now on the surface, one would think, well, that's great. This solidifies that the evil Jor-El message was fake, and for a brief second, even I thought the retcon was real. I figured maybe after seeing the online backlash and disappointing box office, Gunn decided to take action. But my instinct told me that I needed to do more research, and after finding some different images that are circulating online from both versions of the film, I can now tell you that there has been no retconning done whatsoever. On the left, I have an image from the theatrical release, and on my right, I have the same image from the VOD digital release, and if I compare between these two images, it becomes very clear that in both the theatrical release and in the digital video release, the exact same title appears at the bottom of the screen in both versions. Now, in a way, this actually raises more questions, because if the Daily Planet discovered that Jor-El's video speech was fake, as the title suggests, why wouldn't anybody in the movie bother to mention it at all, especially to Superman, who was really taking this very seriously? Obviously, it's kind of a big deal to him, and him pretending that he doesn't know this information wouldn't make any logical sense. And if you recall, just recently on a podcast, James Gunn very arrogantly quadrupled down on the Jor-El message being real. He explained his thought process in the writing and how he made it absolutely clear that the message was real by having multiple characters confirm it over and over again.
How can someone not think it's real?
I'm just saying.
He also added that he was surprised that after all of his efforts, people still didn't understand that. And if you ask me, based on his demeanor in this interview, I don't think he was playing coy. I think he was telling the truth, for a change. Because really, the whole journey that Superman supposedly goes through, the whole character arc, is that throughout the movie, he has to accept that he's his own man, and it doesn't matter what his parents did. And indeed, by the end of the movie, he no longer considers them his parents, and we see that in the very final scene of the movie, where he doesn't want to watch the video of them anymore. The way the movie ends with Superman in the Fortress of Solitude seems very clear, like there was a very specific creative decision there, and not one that's easily undone. And now if you're wondering to yourself, well, if James Gunn didn't want to retcon evil Jor-El out of existence, then why does that title appear in both the theatrical release and the digital one? And I've been thinking about it, and I've managed to narrow this down to 3 possible scenarios. The first option is that James Gunn always wanted to leave some kind of thread, even if it's an Easter egg of sorts, to be able to retcon this at some later point in time and leave this door open for him to do so. The reason why this explanation doesn't work for me is because within the logic of the movie, if the Daily Planet indeed figured out that the whole situation with his parents was false, somebody would have mentioned it. The fact that there's not even one line of dialogue in this movie that backs that up gives me the impression that it's there for a different reason. So then we have option number 2, which is that James Gunn was just being a playful troll with that title banner being there, messing with people's mind because he thought it would be funny if he secretly threw that in there. And while he is a quirky guy and he can be annoying, I don't think he'd go through all that trouble to basically create an unresolved plot hole within his own movie. So now we're left with the third and final option, the one that I think is the strongest out of all of them. And I hope you're sitting down for this because in my opinion, there's a possibility that perhaps there were two different cuts of the movie still being considered prior to its release, and one of those cuts would have included extra footage and/or dialogue that would suggest that the recording was fake. If you recall, in the months leading up to the movie's release, we heard about a number of test screenings that made Warner Brothers very nervous. And this lines up with James Gunn's arrogant interview on the same podcast, where he mentions that Evil Jor-El was something that came up after test screenings.
So in the test screenings, people were like, is it real? With AI, nobody trusts anything.
That people wanted to know if it was real or if it was fake. Now, imagine you're a studio like Warner Brothers, you're doing test screenings, and people are walking out asking you about this because they're confused. What do? Most likely you have a conversation with Gunn and you tell him, hey, are you sure you want to have this storyline with Superman's parents being evil? A lot of people had questions about that, and some people, it didn't really rub them the right way. And this is perhaps where some pressure was put on Gunn, that he would add some kind of reshoot or insert shot or even an ADR line of dialogue that would be added where somebody would reveal that the message was fake, even if it's just the audience hearing it. And maybe Gunn even tried adding that into the movie backed by this title as some type of half-hearted attempt to appease Warner Brothers, but the problem is, unless James Gunn went back and started doing more extensive reshoots to give the movie a whole new message, theme, and even a completely different ending for the movie, adding that additional dialogue would have pretty much undermined the whole message of his movie and left viewers even more confused. Now, personally, I didn't prefer this whole message that Gunn was going for from the beginning, but I can understand why if he already made that movie, it would be very difficult to change it without spending a lot of money. And that's maybe something that Warner Brothers didn't want to do more of, because this movie was already costing them a pretty penny as it is, and as we know, I don't even believe that they've made their money back until now. If I had to guess what happened, maybe after weighing all the different options, Warner Brothers at the end begrudgingly allowed James Gunn to just keep his movie intact and leave Jor-El evil in the movie. Perhaps all of this had happened at such a late stage in the production that at the end of the day, this little title at the bottom was just left there, maybe even by mistake. I know it seems odd that they would just leave it there, but stranger things have happened. In any case, one thing is certain. Both the theatrical cut and the digital release present this scene in the exact same way, so nothing here was done after the fact. And since I've been seeing people complimenting Gunn and saying that he's listening to the fans, I just wanted to make it clear, he's not doing any of that. He was Gunn before, he's Gunn now. Now, if you like his movie, it's fine, and if you don't like his movie, that's fine too. But there's certainly no point in putting him on a pedestal and pretending that he somehow cares what the fans think. And I just wanted to clarify all of that because I'm seeing a lot of misinformation online. And if you enjoy getting this type of exclusive coverage of what's happening with the DCU, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help my channel. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But I'm